Test. Hello and welcome to my stream. My name is Praios and I'm a professional gambler. And yeah, I found this video and it sounds very interesting. And yeah, the guy called Black Rain 79 Poker made a video stating that he can say that an average poker player makes. And yeah, this is definitely an interesting topic. And yeah, let's look into that. I also made a video about, sort of about that. I played for 100,000 hands and then I showed my graph and stuff. Feel free to check that out. This should be relatively, yeah, up to date because this was in the beginning of the year. I don't expect the games to be that much harder now. So that's probably about the maximum you can achieve. I had a relatively good win rate. Maybe you can even be better than that, but yeah, I don't know. But for me, it felt like that this is like the maximum you can achieve, especially comparing this to other win rates I heard from other players. This seemed to be already good. Yeah, check that out if you want to. And yeah, let's now get into the video. Thanks to Black Rain. And yeah, let's see what he has to say and if this makes sense or not.
What's up guys, Nathan here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about average poker winnings, and quite frankly, it's not what a lot of people think. Alright, so a lot of people think that poker is, their ticket to riches these days, the fame, the fortune, the gold bracelet, the World Series of Poker, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think people actually think that, but these are just the top of the players, and most others make like almost nothing in a year. And yes, for many it's like a 9-to-5 job, and they make like an average income. I think it's very good to play poker in countries where the average wage is very low, like in, let's say, Eastern Europe, for example, or in Asia or something. There you probably can make a good living because the average wage is a lot lower as what you can make with poker. But if you are living in the first world, poker is probably not the first choice, or should not be your first choice if you are intelligent and also well educated.
And it can be, but as somebody who has played the game professionally for over 10 years, I can tell you that for the average poker pro or semi-pro, it's a little bit less glamorous than that. So I'm going to break it all down for you in this video. We're going to
all true so far.
Talk about the average poker winnings for small stakes, mid stakes, and high stakes. All right, so let's talk about small stakes.
No, you can't see everything. The thing you can't see is average player, 10 hours per week, and then it's how much per hour and how much per year. I guess that's just a multiple. Okay. So 1 cent, 2 cent to 50 cents, $1. And live it's up to 2.5. 10 hours per week. $5 to $30. $20 already seems quite high per hour. Okay. So let's say you play like 4 tables at the same time. If you play 4 tables and if you have a good win rate, 5BB, biggest stake is one big blind is $1, so it would be $20 per hour. By the way, this is not an average. If you make an average, an average is one number. It's like all the guys put together and then divided by the number of guys, and it cannot be 5 to 30. That's not an average. So, but yeah, okay. Let's see what he has to say.
Stakes first. This is probably what 90% of you watching this video play. We'll break it down here for the actual limits. So if you play online cash games, it's going to be something like 1 cent, 2 cent blinds, all the way up to 50 cent, $1. It's a pretty wide range.
I also think it's quite unrealistic that people just play 10 hours per week, and they probably also don't study much, and then they should beat the game at a very high rate, as I already calculated. I think that's very unrealistic. Maybe $30 or something is possible to be reached, but from a pro he also puts a lot of work in. But with very little work. It seems quite ambitious. Also for live, it seems also very high. I mean, how many hands do you play per hour? Like 20 if it's a fast game. Let's take the highest. So 20 hands per hours. What can you achieve as a win rate? 10? 10 BB or something? 20 BB? Let's put a very high threshold, 20 BB. And you only do 20 hands an hour. So you have to divide it through 5. Yeah, okay, so it's 20 BB we said. So 20 multiplied 5 is 100. And yeah, this is also like $20 per hour. And you also have to calculate that often you have to pay a fee when you enter a casino. You have to pay for your drinks often. It depends on the country and stuff. You have to tip dealers, so seems a bit high, the maximum hourly given here. Especially if as he seems to assume that it's not a pro but like a semi-pro or part-time pro, which is very hard to do nowadays as there are a lot of competition, and this competition is never sleeping and doing a lot of theoretical work, and that's simply not possible if you have another job on the side as well. So, okay, let's continue.
Range. And if you play live cash games, it's going to be in between the blinds of $1, $2 to $2, $5. So once again, we're still talking about pretty small sums of money, and tournaments or sit and goes, if you play either of those, for small stakes here, I'm going to define it as a buy-in between $1 and $20. Once again, small sums of money, but still enough that you can potentially, have a big score if you win the poker tournament. And I'm also going to assume throughout this video that you are an average player. These are average poker winnings. What does an average poker player play? Probably around 10 hours a week.
Average. So average skill probably too. And this is more than average skill, the hourlies he's giving here. But yeah, this is a bit unrealistic in my eyes, but yeah, no idea. Maybe he talked to players and they gave him these numbers, but often players are also quite illusional. They have keep no records, just say, yeah, okay, I'm winning, but in reality they are probably losing, but they don't want to I think they themselves don't want to know that, to be honest. And yeah, if you don't keep good records, it's hard to tell how much you're up or down, obviously.
I'm going to assume this is kind of a semi-pro, not a full-time professional. So
semi-pro, he assumes.
If you are a full-time pro and you're able to put in, 20, 30, 40 hours a week, you definitely can make more than the numbers I'm going to talk about in this video. So how much per hour can you make at small stakes? Well, in my experience, again, with this average kind of player, 10 hours a week, I think you can make somewhere in the neighborhood of $5.
I wonder where he got these numbers. Is this from his win rate deducted, or is it just guessing? I think probably the second, but yeah.
$2 to $30 per hour. So not exactly anything mind-blowing, but certainly well above the minimum wage in many even Western countries. This is something I've been talking about for many, many years on my blog, how many people know that I took off to Southeast Asia many, many years ago. There's a ton of small stakes online players in particular there because you don't need to make that much money to live in places like this. Latin America is another really popular destination for small stakes poker players. I've rented beachfront apartments before for $200 a month. I mean, you can...
Yeah, that's what I said too. If you live in a country where the cost of living is a lot lower than in Eastern Europe or in the US, you can make a good living from the income you have from poker.
Live really, really cheap, and as you guys can see here, for some people, you can actually afford that, because how much is that per year? 10 hours per week. Hopefully my math is right here. $2,400 if you're making $5 an hour. all the way up to $14,400 per year. So once again, nothing mind-blowing, but it is enough to get by for many people in some low cost of living destinations. However, for the vast majority of people who play small stakes poker, especially if you live in a Western country, this is typically not going to be enough to live on. For example, I come from Vancouver, Canada. You're not going to live on this amount of money in that city. However, this can be a pretty decent side income, especially if you're only playing around 10 hours a week. It's a nice chunk of change to be able to make on the side. Let's move on to mid-stakes now. So mid-stakes is where we're going to see a big shift here. And before I get into the numbers...
the things you can't read is the same as before. Average player, 10 hours per week, and how much per hour and how much per year. And yeah, when you see the numbers. 510. So let's again say 4 tables. Although it could be hard to get 4 tables, at least good ones with a good table selection. But let's say 4 tables. Let's just assume 400 hands per hour. 5 BB win rate again. Yeah, when you have 200 per hour, but that's not an average player. An average player doesn't makes 5 BB per 100. So yeah, these numbers again appear a bit high. Yeah, again, the higher you go up in stakes, the less likely it is that you can be profitable with only 10 hours invested per week, and also I guess not that much studying. But okay, let's see what he has to say.
Here, I just want to point out that beating small stakes is doable for most people.
Although, especially in life, I have to say, it might be possible if you get into the right kind of games. And yeah, it's always the case that not the best player makes the most money, but the player who gets into the softest games and has the best skill in comparison to his opposition. So it actually might be true that Dan Bilzerian makes a lot of money because his opponents are retarded, but if he plays against normal online competition, he's obviously having no chance, and he is a big fish.
But once we start jumping up into mid-stakes and high stakes, it's a little bit of a different story. You're going to be facing more...
Okay, he's telling basically the same stuff. So mid and high stakes is hard to beat. As semi-pro, I think even small stakes might be not that easy to beat because a lot of pros are already playing 25 cent, 50 cent, and 50 cent $1. So I think that's also hard to beat as a recreational or a semi-pro with not that much time left to study.
Professionals, more good thinking opponents at these stakes, and these games are not easy to beat. By the way, I'm going to talk about what you can do to develop the skill level to beat these games later on at the end of the video, so stick around for that. But mid stakes, I'm going to define, if you play online cash, it's going to be $1 $2 blinds up to $5 $10 blinds. Live cash, that'll be $5 $10 blinds up to $25 $50 blinds. And tournament buy-ins is roughly going to be $20 to $100 buy-in tournament or sit and go. So some decent money on the line here. This is not small stakes anymore. Like I said, the competition is quite a bit more difficult at these stakes. It's not going to be a walk in the park. However, you can make a lot more money in these games. So once again, I'm just going to assume average.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, the competition becomes a bit tougher, but if you double the stakes and you could keep the win rate at least almost the same or down drop. I mean, if you have 5 BB and when it drops to 2.5 BB, you would make the same, but usually you don't drop that much in win rate. Let's say if you drop from 5 to 4 BBs, then you obviously make a lot more if the stakes double.
Player playing 10 hours a week. How much per hour can you make in these games? Well, from my experience, it's going to be roughly anything from around $30 per hour to $200 an hour, which on an annual basis, once again, hopefully my math is correct here, $14,400 all the way up to $96,000 a year. Not too bad. That's why you see a lot of people, once they make it up to mid stakes, this is definitely when they start considering perhaps quitting their job or at least cutting back their hours and becoming, you know, a real semi-pro.
Yeah, what is very risky if you quit your job to become a poker pro, it will be hard to get back in a normal job, at least if you have a good paying job, because if you let's say you take a break, or it's not really a break if you play poker, but yeah, if there are like 5 or 10 years missing and the company asks, what did you do the last 5 or 10 years? And you would say, I played poker. You probably will not get the job.
At these stakes, because if you are able to beat these games for a decent win rate, as you can see, you can make some pretty good money. We're certainly well above a typical average salary in a Western country at this point, so not too bad. Let's move on to high stakes. Now, I do need to mention right off the top,
if you make 200 per hour, by the way, you definitely should put in more than 10 hours. If you don't have a job that is paying even more. Okay, we are at high stakes now, 1020 plus and 5100 plus for live. Yeah, again, 10 hours per week. And per hour you make 200 to 1000 plus. Why is 480,000 or plus? Yeah, you obviously can make insane amounts. I mean, if you play like some of these degens, or not, let's not say not degens, these pros that play the what is it, 501k no limit hold'em games on GG, and if you run good or play good and are better than your opposition, you can obviously make insane amounts when a buy-in is 100k. But this is just the top of the top of the top, and yeah, most people don't make that much. And I think online, it's actually hard to play 1020 and up, at least with decent table selection. These games don't run anymore, so you cannot just go to your computer and say, okay, now I put in my 10 hours. This is not working this way. You have to wait for weak competition, and only then you can play. I mean, you don't want to battle racks, obviously, especially on GG where the rake is infinite. And on GG, these games are running only, and yeah, Stars and others don't have these high stakes anymore, or at least they run very infrequently. So yeah, very hard to come to these numbers, as the games probably don't run often enough. Although 10 hours per week you probably can get in, but then you have to camp in front of your computer for 80 hours to get the 10 hours in or something. So yeah, that's just unrealistic. Again.
There's very, very few people that beat high stakes poker. Again, I'm going to talk about how to beat these games in a second, but I need to point that out right off the bat. Not too many people are going to win in these games, and also these games do not even run that often, so it's difficult to even get action. But let's just assume.
I wonder which stakes the dude is playing. Yeah, I have no idea. I could. What is his name?
You play your 10 hours a week once again, and you're able to play online cash games 1020 or higher. Once again, honestly, above 50-100 online, there's really not even much action. So it's probably going to be 1020 or 2550 if you're playing online cash. Again, you're going to be.
Okay, he also says that there's not much action in these games. So that's good.
What's up, guys? Nathan here, and today.
Try to find out how. Okay, I put him on a Google search while you
playing mostly against world-class professionals in these games. Once again, just need to be very, very clear about what we're talking about here. We're talking about a world-class level of competition in these games, all right, guys? $50, $100 plus live cash games. And if you're playing tournaments, it's going to be $100 plus tournament or sit and go buy-in. So, high stakes, excellent players. So you're an average player, you're beating these games, you play 10 hours a week. How much can you make per hour? Anywhere between around $200 all the way up to $1,000 or more. Obviously, once you get into the nosebleed games, which would be classified as all of the biggest private games in the world and the, you know, the big game at Bellagio and places like this when they run, and, you know, the biggest high stakes tournaments in the world.
I am some of the highest winnings. I have some of the highest winnings in online poker history. In the lower stakes poker game. Okay, that's from his channel description. I'm also a 3-time best-selling poker author. Okay. Okay, this is micro stakes and small stakes. Free poker sheet. Okay, seems like he is a small stakes player. Maybe mid stakes, so. Nathan Williams. Okay. Let's search this. X. Go. Yeah, this will. I think he's not playing the high stakes.
Your hourly can literally be thousands and thousands of dollars per hour, so it's difficult to quantify it up at the higher end. But that's typically the rate that a high stakes player can make. And annualized, how much can they make per year? $96,000, all the way up to nearly $500,000. Not a bad chunk of change, and that is why most high stakes players who are able to beat the games are often they quit their job, and this is their job, is poker, because as you can see, there's some pretty good money here. Now, finally, let's talk about a couple important considerations that you need to know. Okay, so first off, most people lose at poker. This is something that is a little bit shocking to some people, but it needs to be pointed out.
Yes, I think like 90% of people lose, maybe even more. Winning at poker is not easy anymore, is what you can only partly read, especially mid and high stakes games. Okay. Nowhere near as much dead money out there. Okay, that's probably, yeah, compared to back in the day. Improve your game, both on and off the table. Yeah, okay.
Vast majority of people do not win at poker, and therefore their per hour win rate or their per year annual salary is actually a negative number.
Yeah, many people also play it for fun and don't try to do their best. I mean, some even play when they're drunk and stuff. So, but still, yeah, these are the guys you need if you are a poker pro and you want to get on the table with them. For sure, and don't battle the Rex.
Okay, so you know, we don't pay rent, we don't pay bills with negative money, of course, but it needs to be absolutely pointed out. The vast majority of people do not win at poker, and there's a variety of reasons why. I'm not going to list them all in this.
I think also that many people underestimate the psychological things. So if you can be the best poker player in the world, if you can't control tilt, then you are not winning in the game.
Video, I've covered them in so many other videos on this channel. Poor play, tilt, lack of focus, lack of work ethic. There's a lot of different reasons why. I've talked about at length in my books and in videos on this channel about how you can improve your poker game, and I've got links to.
Yeah, many poker players that won big back in the day lack of work ethic, and that's why they lost a lot of money back or are not playing anymore. Because nowadays you cannot make a lot of money when you just play and don't also work on your game off the table.
All of that in the description below. But guys, just the cold hard math, the unfortunate reality of the game is that most people do not win it in the end, and therefore all of the numbers that I have listed in this video are for the handful of people that actually are winners. They're simply not going to apply to the majority of poker players who are simply not going to be profitable over the long run. So I listed a couple of the reasons why a lot of people don't win, but there's one other really big important one that a lot of people underestimate these days, and that is that the games simply are not easy anymore. Guys, I started playing poker in 2004.
Yeah, definitely. Games are much tougher as they used to be, and you have to use solid table selection in order to be still winning. And yeah, battling the Rex, especially on smaller stakes, probably is a losing proposition. I mean, probably the games wouldn't run anyways, but especially in a high rank environment, you don't only have to beat your opponents, but also the house and the high rank, and yeah, that's hard to do when other people also work with solvers every day.
And online specifically, and it was literally, you know, money falling from the sky. There was people playing in high stakes games who honestly barely had any idea about if a flush beats a straight.
Duh. Okay, he probably knows that flush beats a straight, but he had no idea what he was doing, especially in 6max.
They literally didn't even know the.
By the way, Isildur is also the same kind. He plays ring game like he plays a ring game like heads up, and that's probably not good if you enter the pot with way too many hands.
Rules of the game, some of them, and they were throwing around thousands of dollars of their own money. That's just not the case at all anymore. All of that dead sort of dead money.
I wouldn't say that this is not the case at all, but yeah, less fish, more racks. That's the same on every market. If it's very easy to make money, educated people who want to get a hold of this money will enter the market, and the fish rack ratio will adjust and will get worse, and you will have more professionals in the game and less recreationals. And because the recreationals now lose even faster and have less fun, this will be a death spiral, and the games will get tougher and tougher.
Easy money, as we called it, especially.
By the way, I made a video about that too. Yeah, watch it. It's on my YouTube.
Especially in mid and high stakes games, that's just not available these days. I find a lot of people get into poker these days and, you know, they think it's some sort of gold rush or something like that. And I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but that train sailed, that ship sailed a long, long time ago. Most people that are, especially if they're winning in mid and high stakes games, they take the game very seriously. They're not screwing around. And so there's just not that easy money out there anymore. However, on the positive side, on the bright side, there are more tools than ever for you to quickly improve your game.
Yeah, but I think that's actually a bad thing if you are very skilled, because a guy like me, I was able to analyze hands very deeply, even without solvers, and often got very good results that are close to the ones of the solver. Many people lack these skills, so, and now it's very easy. You just get a solver, put in the hand, see what you got to do. And yeah, this obviously is way easier as if you would have to do all the calculations and the assumptions on your own. And if you put in wrong assumptions, you come up with rubbish ideas what you have to do. So yeah, less skill needed nowadays. You just have to grind and yeah, put in the work and learn what solver does. I mean, you will be playing very well if you follow the strategy against regulars, because most people follow the solver strategy basically, but against fish this is suboptimal because they divide so much from the optimal solutions that you have to adjust to that playing style as well. I mean, you are still making money when you play GTO, but yeah, you would make way more if you adjust to the specific player type and his tendencies.
Again, I have tons of suggestions down in the description below for you on the poker HUD I use, the advanced training that I recommend, all my books that'll help you guys out in small stakes games particularly. But guys, the bottom line is that poker is a game that you basically are going to get what you put in. If you want to make the kind of money that I talked about in this video, especially in the mid and high stakes, you really need to take this game extremely seriously, both on the tables and away from the tables, improving your game, constantly getting in there, playing each day, learning from your mistakes, learning how to control the mental side and not get tilted from every single bad beat. I put out videos here on the channel every single week helping you guys out, so my first recommendation will be to hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, and also shove all in on that like button below if you found this video helpful. Like I said guys, those are the average poker winnings these days. It's honestly, it's not as glamorous as most people think. And I guess I'll finish by saying, if your goal is to get super rich and be a billionaire, I would not recommend poker. You really should be looking at what Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk is doing, or Warren Buffett, or maybe investing, going all in on Dogecoin or something. All right, I'm kind of joking a little bit on the Dogecoin.
By the way, I found a graph of him. Seems like he made, what is it, like 70k hands, and he made $100. It takes long to make 70k hands, right? This is 1 cent, 2 cent, I think. Okay, here's another graph. BB per 105, if I see this correctly. Yeah, this is just a waste of time, to be honest. 100k hands, $100 won. I mean, why should you ever play this low? I recommend, if you want to have an hourly, I recommend to start at least 50 cent, $1. Otherwise, it's not worth your time. You could probably do something better with your time. And if you are losing anyways, I recommend to play 1 cent, 2 cent, the lowest limit possible to, yeah, lose the money. But you have the most play out of your money. Okay. Do we have more graphs of him here? No, just microstacks stuff, I mean, as it seems. Oh, if we can buy it. What is this? Oh, now he made $600 or what? Or is it real whatever. Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah. I recommend not to play 1 cent, 2 cent if you want to make money and if you want to have a hourly. That's basically what I get out of this graph.
But crypto, definitely something like that where there's a little bit more of a moonshot, because the cold hard reality is that even the very best poker players in the world are typically only going to be making low 7 figures per year on the tables themselves. And yes, it is true, they can make a lot more away from the table.
7 figures a year, the best ones. Yeah, that seems accurate. Low 7 figures, yeah.
Tables through sponsorships and book deals and endorsements, and also
not sure if they make that much with books. Also not sure how much the sponsorships are worth nowadays, as I don't have one, but definitely contact me if you are a poker site, if you want to make a sponsorship deal with me. I might even come back and play again.
Sorts of stuff like that, but it's not like crazy money. Like if any of you guys are watching this who want to be a billionaire,
yeah, no Jeff Bezos money or Elon Musk money,
or make tens of millions or hundreds of millions, poker is probably not going to be the best plan for you.
Yeah, the problem with poker is also that it's not scaling very good. I mean, in the beginning it scales quite good, but at some point, what might it be? Like, what is it nowadays? Like 1-2? Games bigger than 1-2 don't even run that much. And yeah, but at least there's a certain threshold, not sure where it is, at which it would be hard to scale any more, because you cannot relentlessly move up in stakes until you play infinite big. There's a cap, and yeah. I mean, with PLO on stars, it often was the case that I had to play 50 cents, $1 or $1, $2 because the other games simply were not running. And yeah, if that's already the cap, then you obviously can't make that much a year. Then 7 figures is way too much. You can make like 6 figures. 6 figures. Most likely even low 6 figures if my assumptions are true. So yeah, 7 figures is already quite big. You probably have to play quite large, and yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, and probably not all games are possible. You probably need to play No Limit Hold'em. PLO, it's probably hard to make that kind of money. Or you would have to take crazy risk, like playing these 500 1K games. But if you run bad in these and you have to grind it back in at lower stakes, you could easily have huge losing years if variance strikes hard on the high stakes games, or the nosebleed games in this case.
I would actually recommend starting a poker site. The house is actually the biggest winner always in poker if you're really interested in making tens of millions, hundreds of millions.
I think running a poker site is also not that profitable nowadays, because you need to get players on there. Marketing is expensive, the stuff is expensive. Yeah, I don't think that this is a good idea either, especially with all the regulations, and it differs from country to country. Yeah, it's not a good idea.
Or billions of dollars, you're better off just owning the casino, because they're
a casino is better than poker, I think, but it's also hard with the recent regulations you got in all countries.
Actually the big winners. But however, there is still some decent money in poker. I'm certainly not going to sit here and sneeze.
That's true. Decent money in poker, 100% confirmed.
Is that, you know, just 7 figures? Obviously, that's a lot of money for the vast majority.
Yeah, I think 7 figures is for the top of the top of the top. And yeah, if you want to have something more realistic, it's like, yeah, 6 figures. And yeah, I even heard from some poker players that it would be a dream for them to make 6 figures. So a lot of them make less.
Majority people in this world, but it just needs to be pointed out that no poker player is making billions or even hundreds of millions or anything like that.
No, only one. Dan Bilzerian's, at least according to his own stupid stories. Although I think he never said billions, but hundreds of millions probably.
Is definitely a ceiling, even if you're the very best poker player in the world. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. This is my take on the average poker winnings these days. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What are your poker winnings so far? Do you agree or disagree with these average poker winnings? Let me know your experience in the comments below. And lastly, make sure you grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. That'll be the top link in the description below, and that'll give you my complete strategy to...
Okay, I think we are at the end, yeah. Yeah, I would say these assumptions are a bit optimistic, but yeah, overall, good video. It was sort of promoting poker. I think he was, yeah, too optimistic. It's harder than stated in this video, but I already said most of the things I got to say before. Yeah, okay, good video. Yeah, I guess I see you later. And yeah, if you watch this on YouTube or on Twitter or wherever, if you got something out of this, please make sure to like, subscribe, and all the good stuff. Bye-bye.